All right, let's talk with conservative Generation Z contributor for Turning Point USA, Morgonn McMichael. Morgonn, welcome to Victory.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Former Director of National Intelligence, James Clapper, trying to now blame Politico for labeling Hunter Biden's laptop a Russian disinformation play. But he signed the letter saying, with dozens of other former spooks saying it was so. Why the sudden blame shift for him, you think?
I mean, it's always been a blame game. And when it's come to the Hunter Biden laptop story, there has been such a lack of transparency coming from the administration and coming from the Intelligence Committee. So I think it's time that we really just deserve some honesty here and know what is truly going on. I mean, even the Pentagon has released statements about it. The FBI has released statements about the laptop. And it really just seems to be a bunch of lies to protect the Biden administration and their family.
Okay, let me ask you now about the horrible thing that happened at Michigan State University. It's now revealed the shooter would not have been able to purchase a gun if a 2019 gun charge had been processed as a felony, but another soft on crime DA reduced it to a misdemeanor. Should we just maybe enforce the existing laws to reduce these types of terrible crimes rather than trying to create new laws?
Absolutely. What happened is a complete tragedy, and I really grieve for the losses of these students. But what we need to pay attention to is why aren't we enforcing the laws that we have in place? We have background checks to buy firearms. We have other laws in place. Yet it seems to me that in the government, there are these leftists who want to impose new gun laws, take away our firearms and ban them in our country, when in reality, why aren't we just enforcing the laws that we have? Because if we were to do that, we wouldn't be seeing these tragedies like this, what happened this week.
And Michigan State is a gun-free zone, by the way. Let's talk about the train wreck, and I'm not talking about in Washington, D.C., the one in Palestine, Ohio. It's an environmental disaster, but it took a dozen days for Mayor Pete to post a single tweet on the matter. Does that seem right for the head of the Department of Transportation when you have a tragedy that's impacting people like this?
Absolutely not. There's been such a lack of transparency of what is going on in Ohio. I mean, we saw even reporters arrested as soon as the tragedy had happened. We've seen families who have no idea what's going on. And this controlled burn was really just allowing these gases to spew into our atmosphere without knowing what the effect and the harms are to these families. So, I mean, this tragedy has had just such a lack of transparency to our nation of what's really going on. And also, coincidentally, not to be a conspiracy theorist here, but there was also a hazardous gas that was spilled in Tucson, Arizona just yesterday. So I think there's something quite fishy going on here with just the lack of transparency and communication coming from what is going on here.
And to your point, a train wreck in Texas, reporters being arrested. I thought that was very interesting. But why are they doing that? Let's go to Mexico. Mexico's president is encouraging Mexican-American voters to vote to support Joe Biden and vote against American politicians who support securing the southern border. Why would he not want a stronger border with the United States?
I mean, at the end of the day, Mexico is profiting off of it. Look at the cartels. Look at the amount of trafficking. I think I saw it was over $37 billion is made from people human trafficked across our border. We have a fentanyl crisis going on in country. And so Mexico itself is profiting off of our open border policies right now. Thank you to the Biden administration for that. And we are under an invasion right now, and we need to close our borders. But it's no shock to me that Mexico is profiting, and it makes sense to me why they don't want to close our borders.
Okay, so we talked about the train wreck. We've talked about Mexico, but Joe Biden has yet to address the shooting gallery of high-altitude objects over North America. Shouldn't he be providing some details for a nervous nation?
Absolutely. Again, with the lack of transparency and the lack of communication, we have had these foreign objects. A lot of people are saying, look at the UFOs entering into U.S. territory, along with the train incidents and our open border. There is something going on here, and I don't know what it is, but my question is, why isn't the Biden administration being transparent and communicating with the American people and letting us know what is going on?
You've been talking about it, communication. Well, the White House press secretary, Karine Jean-Pierre, left no doubt with reporters who the ace communicator is on their team. Here it is.
I will tell you this, the president is the best communicator that we have in the White House.
The best way to get something done, if it holds near and dear to you that you like to be able to. Anyway.
So, Morgan, does the White House, are they defining communication differently than you and I are?
I mean, I think they're redefining the definition in the Merriam-Webster dictionary at this point, just like they did to what is a woman. They might as well just rewrite what communicating is, because I don't think I've ever seen Joe Biden coherently communicate to the American people what's really going on, nor the press secretary. It has all just been a lot of lies and just a lack of transparency coming from them.
She's Morgan McMichael, Turning Point USA. Morgan, thank you so much. Back to you in just a moment. I want to talk with Morgan McMichael one more time, Turning Point USA. Can Governor Gavin Newsom and California make the curve to total green energy by 2035?
I don't think it's going to happen. Recently, I was in Davos, Switzerland for the World Economic Forum, and that's what they've been claiming, is that climate change is this huge issue and that we're going to reach a carbon net zero in the next 5 to 10 years, and I really don't think it's going to happen. I mean, America's backbone is fossil fuels and natural gas, and it's not going to change anytime soon. You can have electric cars, you know, we can move towards having green energy. I'm not anti-green energy, but being at a net carbon zero, I don't think is even realistic.
I recall Joe Biden at the State of the Union saying we'll need oil for another 10 years, and the response that he got on that. Okay, I was talking with the ACLJ attorney Olivia Summers, and she was talking about the offended observers, and that's the way they filed their lawsuit. You're with Turning Point USA. You've got to deal with offended observers all the time.
All the time. People don't always love what we have to say, but that is why we are here, is really in the grassroots, being a force for change and showing conservative values across the country on college campuses. I travel across the country and I speak to college kids, and I really want to bridge that gap and show that there is a middle ground and have those difficult conversations with students who usually aren't even politically challenged or even get their gears grinding in their brain of what's going on in our country. So my job and what I really love to do is just have those conversations with people in Gen Z and be a force for change.
We have to have that conversation. Were you surprised by the bold statement of faith from supermodel and businesswoman Kathy Ireland?
I was very pleasantly surprised, and I think we need to see more of these Hollywood actors, models, stars speak out about their faith, especially in an industry that is just full of darkness. We need more light in these industries. So I am so proud of Kathy Ireland for just being so unapologetic with her Christian values and her views on Jesus. And so this is something really incredible to see, and I think very soon we'll see a lot more people rise up in the industry.
And finally, real quickly, less than a minute here, you spend a lot of time on universities. Granted, it's a Christian university, Asbury University in Kentucky, but there's a move of God happening on that campus right now. And I want you to listen to this one student's experience real quick.
We've been crying out for revival in our city. We've been learning about revival, but I've never seen it. I didn't even know it was real.
So I want to get your heart reaction to what you see when a group of students are worshiping and praying like this. This is what I believe America needs. Your thoughts?
Absolutely. We are in need of a revival across the country. I know that TPUSA Faith has a tour going on right now with Sean Foyt called the Kingdom of Capitals Tour, and they're hitting every single state capital of worship. But what's happening at this college should happen everywhere, because we are in need of a revival. These students are being touched in such miraculous ways, and I am just so happy to see.
And what you guys are doing is also a revival. Morgan, thank you so much for being with us today and for bringing the insights that you did.